Croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to unload a 6-shooter worth of knowledge into your chest and talk about the yeehaw history. I'm Jack, and as usual, I'm joined by the finest deputy this side of the little bighorn. It's Deputy Franks. He's coming with his
dog.
6-piece. Deputy Dog Franks.
Well, I don't think I see the likes of
the side of the Mississippi.
What? You dare show your face in this town again, boy? I thought I taught you a lesson last time. Yeah, man. You damn listeners, what did I tell you, folk?
I realise I can't do an American accent that
Without
isn't just,
it, I know.
oh my gosh, it's Southern Bale.
To start off the new year, your mic's clipping again, so that's a good laugh. And something just
that's
fell.
good fun. I just dropped something.
You loon cowboy, I go, you little cowpoke. I'm going to shoot you in your ass if you ever turn up to another recording. I've got a little bit Mr. T. And I ain't
I
getting
just
on.
want to say, shoot you in your ass. It's very like, I don't need that in a cowboy film. Shoot you in your ass.
This
God.
is we're back to properly doing Welsh history. We'll get into that in a minute though. But before people, I felt bad over Christmas period, and last week we did Manx, which wasn't even Welsh, so I don't know how that slipped in into the Welsh history.
Just how it's all shaken out, isn't it? We plan these things for the listeners, just so you know. We do plan these things in advance, and then we go, oh, actually, I've decided to do this one now.
Yeah.
Or like we get a guest on, and that kicks another one into touch, and we have to do like a rejig. So we're back on the Welsh train now.
Yeah, I think we should really. I just feel like we haven't done Welsh stuff in a while. So apologies. Thanks for staying with us. We are now back on our bullshit.
I was going to say Christmas was our dick about season.
But we dicked about from like mid-November. So
we dick about earlier every year, don't we?
Oh, it comes round every year, even earlier. Today we're recording this on New Year's Eve. I'm actually off the booze now, man. Fucking, we went big on Sunday with our big.
I was going to say, how are you feeling? You feeling a bit better?
Emotionally, no. Physically, yes. Actually, that's not true. I still feel physically quite ropey and a bit like really bad
but
sleep.
It pales in comparison to the emotional.
Compared to the emotional turmoil I'm experiencing, just night and day. Yeah, I feel.
This is the first day I've been back to relative normality because it was rough, wasn't it? We went hard.
I just had a text from Craig saying he's still exhausted, and I can handle exhaustion, but it's just like genuine fear, anxiety, hatred, like just all the things you don't want to start a new year with.
Swirling vortex of negative emotion.
So I'm doing a dry Feb because I got a few plans in Jan, but I'm also trying to do a relatively dry Jan. I'm having a weekend with you lot where I'll definitely drink then. But and I've got a rugby match I'm going to with some mates from work. But other than that, I'm trying to have a dry Jan and a relatively dry Feb.
Slightly damp Jan.
Yeah, a bit of a soggy Jan.
Dry Feb.
But then a barren Feb. But are you going to do dry Jan? You normally try and do like some bullshit way, don't you?
Yeah, I basically do it without doing it, and I usually don't even do that, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I basically say I'll get off the beers and just do skinny drinks, like voddies and rums and all that. But then a lot of the time I go, I really want a beer though.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no accountability to myself.
But you're back in the gym. Wouldn't you want to be like gym? Do you have any healthier? Do you have anything you want to do better at?
Have you got anything to look forward to aim for? I'm going to try and actually go to the gym like consistently now. So I gave myself a week off last week for the Christmas period, as I'm sure many do. But I'm going to go next week, this week even. And this week I'm going back, and I'm going to try and actually get into a rhythm with that now. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The skinny drinks, that's probably about another. I think we're just going to try and eat a lot better as well, because like my fucking diet this Christmas, it's always bad at Christmas, but this has been, I think that contributed to my really bad hangover after the day, because I've been drinking like every day and then eating utter shit. Like I haven't had last night we had this veggie like dish, this mac and veg bake thing. And my body was like, finally, some fucking vitamins in the system.
Well, I'm having a massive Chinese at my mum's tonight. But I had last night a chicken and veg, which was quite nice to go back to. And I polished off like a bottle and a half of Bartidi over the last like 10 days, plus like, crates of beer, wine, cocktails, everything. And I but I love the detox then. I get like really, because I didn't put on a huge amount of weight because I tried my best to have a few days where I had really minimal calories, but I do feel just like I get like really enthusiastic about having a healthy Jan. I know it's silly because it's like you could just do that whenever, but at this turn of the year it does kind of go, right, let's do it. And you go so hard in Jan. Are you doing anything tonight for New Year's Eve?
Nothing much, mate. I think we're just we have some grub. I'm gonna drink. This is probably my last big hurrah for a little while, and then we don't really do much for New Year, to be honest.
Nah,
I think
I don't rate
I
it.
think even when we were like in our 20s, I think early 20s, we probably went out for New Year's quite a bit, didn't we?
Well, we used to do a house party at mine.
Yeah, and then it'd migrate to house parties, and then I just kind of can't be arsed. Like, after the Christmas period, I quite like having a little bit of a quieter time.
Yeah, and it's for like it's like we're seasoned veterans of the pub and drinking, and New Year's Eve is the night for like have a go, like part timers.
Yeah, let them have a little night out for themselves, isn't it? That's what I say.
Yeah. Right. Well, shall we? Because we've had a few tech issues behind the scenes. Shall we go straight into the episode? Hang on. Listen. I got to think of a segue now.
Oh, of course.
Should I go for? Getting a few shots in at the bar tonight. Those of you who getting a few shots in at the bar tonight would have fitted in fatted right into the cowboy days of old. There's a lot of shots going on. But as you can see from the episode, it's Welsh American Cowboys is the name of today's episode.
I've been excited for this one. I don't know a blooming thing about this.
Well, I'm going to do it as a part of a series. We'll come to that in a bit. But Cowboys and Cymru, can you believe it? Never the two shall meet. But buckle up, partner, and get ready for some offensive action.
Saddle up, because we're going on a ride.
Howdy, pilgrims! And so now when we think of America, it's hard not to think of the old Wild West and the cowboys and the gunslingers and the US 7th Cavalry charging in the native braves and arrows flying in 10-gallon hats. And when I was younger, I fucking loved all that. Like I really chomped up that kind of imagery. And Westerns were my absolute favourite. From like a weirdly young age, they were my favourites.
And you don't really see them much anymore. Many Westerns back in the day, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like if you ever we just were, you'd be watching TV, especially if you used to hang around with your grandparents a lot. Like my granddad would always be watching a fucking cowboy film. Always.
Yeah, always had a cowboy film on. I actually watched The Revenant yesterday, which is one of my films I like to watch at Christmas. I know it's not a Christmas film, but it's one of my absolute favourites. I saw you only gave it 3.5 on Letterboxd, but I loved it.
I do have to watch it again, to be fair, because I think I've only seen it once. So
I do kind of keep it as my Christmassy. It's like I saw Gav Murphy put a thing out on Instagram the other day saying, "What's a Christmassy film that's not actually a Christmas?"
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Like Christmas adjacent,
and that's one
like
of mine.
Snowy fields and all that, isn't it?
Yeah. Like so I was going to watch that or Fargo, and I ended up going for Revenant. It's 2.5 hours, but I loved it. But there aren't a huge amount in the last couple of decades of cowboys or westerns. It's probably because the genocide of Native Americans is
it's looked on a little bit less favourably now, isn't it?
Yeah. But I want to keep this relatively light, so I'm going to explore. So yes, there's obviously a huge amount of awful atrocities done by cowboys and stuff. But I'm not going to look into the setup of the Native Americans relationship, because there wasn't a huge relation to Wales for that. So we're not the pod to dive into that. It's probably way too complex for our little numpskull brains. Yeah. But I'm looking at cowboys and how they might relate back to Cymru. So that's my prefix, right? I love the genre as a kid. As an adult, I'm aware there are some baddies, but let me just enjoy my past for a bit.
It would be great if you prefix was something like, and the Cowboys and the Americans never did anything wrong, okay? Yeah. They're the good guys, Indians the bad guys. But no, good thing you prefixed it.
Yes, so let me just carry on. Where was I? Sorry. So yeah, that's my prefix. Now, onward bound. Let's explore the old frontier. Now, to know, I get a lot of this info from a writer called Phil Carradine, who wrote for the BBC, and he's written some really good articles around Wales and their involvement in the Old West. And we've said it a million times, or even a billion times, but Wales and the US are more intimately connected than most people would realise. And that's also true where American soldiers and gunfighters are concerned. So my next episode I want to do is going to be about Wales and the American Civil War. So I've made my notes for that, but I'm not sure if we should do that next or maybe in a couple of weeks' time. But
so
there's
got
some really cool...
A planned American / Cymru mix of episodes, miniseries.
Well, there's loads of privates and lieutenants and soldiers on both sides, but primarily the Union side of the American Civil War, which I got a book about it, and I was really, really enjoying it. And there's very strong links back to Wales. So that'll be my next episode. It'll be Wales and the American Civil War. But for a bit of background, over 250,000 people left Wales during for the USA in the 19th century. And that might be seen as small compared to 4 million who emigrated from Ireland, but it's a massive number for a country the size of Wales. Yeah. So the fact that 250,000 left in a very sparsely populated... Wales wasn't populated really up until the Industrial Revolution. So it was really, really, really small numbers before then. It was about 20... so the majority of Welsh immigrants, about 20% of them settled in Pennsylvania. And others spread along the eastern seaboard. The more adventurous ones, though, they headed west, joining the wagon trains across the plains in search of new territory. So that's who I'm going to focus on. We've done a bunch of episodes on Wales and Pennsylvania and those traditional Welsh, places like Ohio, where we've got a bunch of lovely listeners. But yes, so what was I saying? Yes, so I'm going to be looking at the ones who actually headed west and were part of the New Frontiers and the Wild Men and the Cowboys who were finding this land that was inhabited by Native Americans and some of the clashes that happened there. So one of these, John Rees of Merthyr Tydfil, his adventures in America led him taking part in the war against Mexico in the late 1830s. And isn't that mad that a bloke from Merthyr Tydfil was in a war with Mexico?
Yeah, you think especially in that day and age, I always think of everyone as not very well travelled, So when you think of somebody who's chilling out in Mexico, partying up in Cancun.
This is the same war that saw the death of legendary frontier Davy Crockett, and the fall of the Alamo. And I visited the Alamo when I was in San Antonio for Christmas with my mate, and we ended up in this dive bar with this drunk police officer who told me he shot someone, and this other guy convinced me. He was the police officer was terrifying, and he had no remorse for shooting someone, and he was like, and I'll do it again. And then later on in the night, we met this guy who tried to make us become drug mules back to the UK, and he gave me the strongest drugs I think I've ever had in my life. And I was generally
that a little the negotiation tactic? You're you're going to have to give me a little something first, my friend.
Well, we were so drunk, and this is years ago. This is 15 years ago. And he was like, I want you to take this back to Britain. And we were meant to stay there for 3 nights, but it all got way too much for it. So we all fled. Me and my mate literally left the Alamo, unlike the brave man who died at the Alamo. But we were we can't handle this town. It was just too fucking full on for us. It was mad police officers, crazy drug dealers, scary. Everyone
you had the yin and yang of the law system there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, although I don't think the police officer was actually all that lawful. He was just a really fucking intense.
He doesn't sound like the guy. He sounds like he got serve and protect tattooed on him somewhere, but maybe the actual meaning behind those words wasn't quite instilled in him.
No. Anyway, back to this John Rees. So during his time in the war with the Mexicans, he was only one of 28 survivors when the Mexicans massacred the Texicans, as they're known, at the Goliad, Goliad. So he's only one of 28 survivors who survived this onslaught from the Mexican soldiers. And he was taken prisoner, but he was released at the end of the war and then returned briefly to Wales, where he took part in the Chartist March uprising in Newport in 1839.
Oh, legend.
And because of that uprising, he was due to be arrested for his part in the march, but he avoided the law and went back to the USA and settled in California. So he had a right old time of it.
I was going to say, he left there and everywhere.
Merthyr, yeah, and he was always kind of in the forefront of action. Another Welsh soldier was in the American Army was William Jones from Pencoed Farm at Dinas. He emigrated to the States in 1870, working as a coachman in Chicago before joining the famous 7th Cavalry. He was with George Armstrong Custer at the famous Little Bighorn battle, where it was at the worst defeat the American soldiers suffered. And
I've just read about that, funny enough. I got a little Native American book that Amy got me for. Really? I can't remember what for. But yeah, I'm about halfway through it, and we just covered the Custer fight.
Well, I'll talk more about this in a second, but there was 261 casualties to the Battle of Little Bighorn, and it was for those who don't know about it, like this a little aside. There's this show you can actually get on YouTube now, but I watched it as a kid. It's called Son of the Morning Star, which is an American 2-part Western televised miniseries, and it's about the Battle of Little Bighorn. And it was like the first bit of Cowboys as Western culture that got me hooked. And it's like a HBO series, really early on in HBO. Like, like home entertainment being the big thing. Yeah. This was like a really high budget, big 2-parter. I think maybe it was on 2 VHSs, so it might be more episodes, but it was across. It was a little mini series, and it's so good. And it covers the Colonel Custer and his charge at the Little Bighorn, where he massively underestimated how many Native Americans had joined up, and it was like a massacre. And like Geronimo and Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull, I think it is at the end, who gets arrested. But it was one of the first bits of like culture or Western culture that really got me hooked. It also led me to reading a book like Black Elk Speaks and these Geronimo autobiographies and biographies of like frontiers people who were taken by native tribes and joined on their way. And I also think like America is probably one of the most like beautiful countries ever for landscape. Like it has it all. It's got deserts, forests, beaches, mountains, and like the prairies just look so cool and aesthetic, and like Native Americans and like how they're depicted, they all just look so cool. And like the cowboys look cool, American soldiers look cool.
Yeah, all that's kind of all that like Americana kind of what's the word, like aesthetic is pretty sick. And
and iconography, and even my Playmobil, which is like kids' toys, was Western themed. And my favorite cartoons is like incredibly racist episode of Looney Tunes where all the Looney Tune characters are in a fort and it's attacked by Native Americans, and it's on. You can watch that on YouTube, and that is a fucking intense bit of like
a sign TV. Of the times. Yeah.
So let's just say I was cowboy bonkers. All right, I was a bonkers cowboy fan.
You've been converted.
But this. Back to William Jones. He was part of General Custer's platoon, and he was one of the casualties who died there. But there was also another guy who was nearly a victim of Custer's folly at Little Bighorn, was Lord Dunraven. So you might know that name, Dunraven. It's in Southern Down, there's Dunraven Castle.
I was thinking, where do I know that from? It definitely rang a bell, but I was thinking I can't place it.
Yeah, so it's like it's the castle down in Southern Down, which is really close to where I got married, and you can go visit like the garden there and stuff now, and it's like a really nice little walk. But he was that's his ancestral home. He travelled to America where he was like really big into I think he's just a rich bloke who was doing fun things.
Yeah.
So he went elk hunting for a long time with the famous Buffalo Bill Cody on the prairies of the Midwest, and he became friendly with a guy called General Phil Sheridan, who was a very famous American general. Lord Dunraven wrote, Colonel Custer invited me to join him on a punitive expedition against the Indians. Unluckily, as I thought, but fortunately, as it turned out, I received the invitation too late. His whole outfit was wiped out. So this lord from South Wales was meant to go join Custer on what was meant to be this punitive expedition, but the entire platoon got wiped out. But now moving on from the army, I wanted to look at like gunslingers and like proper Western cowboys. And surprised to find that like a good amount of Welsh links to some of the most famous cowboys and outlaws.
Always love it when you find those good little Welsh links, don't you? When it's like to ones that you actually heard of.
Yeah. So the history of the American West is littered with stories of fearless lawmen, and one of those lawmen was Welshman John T. Morris, who was sheriff of Collins County in Texas during the 1870s. In his famous exploit, he trailed the outlaw gang called the Quantrill Raiders, who were in part led by the notorious James Reed, a cattle hustler, bandit, and husband of the infamous Belle Starr. Belle Starr was an American outlaw who gained national notoriety for her after her violent death, but she was associated with another gang called the James Younger Gang and other outlaws, and she's done lots of things like horse theft, banditry, but she ended up getting shot in 1889, and no one knows who shot her. So it was like in a saloon; she was kind of caught off guard. Yeah. But as a quick aside, some of the photos you see of these outlaws, they look like fucking accountant dorks. Because all the photos are taken where they have to stand looking miserable. But if you Google some of the Quantrill Raiders and Belle Starr and her husband, they all just look like fucking called Simon, and they work in Halifax. It's all like the most like chilled.
Yeah, I think because you like I said, you grew up on westerns and things like that. So when I'm just looking it up now. They look very They don't look like the kind of people that would be outlaws. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, they look like they'd be buttoned up in an office somewhere.
And I just realised I said Simon from Halifax, who's literally my cousin who worked at Halifax. So that came too quick to mind. Simon's not a dog. Yeah, Simon's lovely. But yes, back to this Welsh lawman, so John Morris. He immediately challenged Reed and asked him to give himself up. So he'd be on the trail for this Quantrill raiders, and he caught up with them. And he found them in a town, and he did the classic sheriff in the saloon, and he was like, "Yo, I got 5 seconds to hand this off over." And Reed, who was known for being an incredibly fast gunslinger, went for his gun, but the Welshman was faster and shot him before the draw happened. Ooh. So within seconds, Bell's husband lay dead on the floor of this famous saloon, all thanks to a fast gunslinger called John T. Morris.
A Cymru with some fucking incredibly fast digis. I like it.
Yeah. Someone you might not automatically connect with the Wild West was this explorer called Henry Morton Stanley, who one of our listeners has suggested we research, and I'm going to, but he's lived this fucking mental life that's so long and unwieldy. It's
going to be a long epi, that.
Yeah. Also, I remember that ERJ messaged the other day on Instagram. Famous nephew of I can't think today. You're gonna have to help me out.
He's of RFK Jr. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And he sent me such a funny thing on Instagram the other day. Sorry for this quick aside. Ellis, one of our Patreon members, is called Ellis Robert Jones, so we call him ERJ, named after the current.
We said he's RFK Jr.'s, long lost nephew, and we do some really, really spot on, definitely not shit impressions of RFK Jr. Then.
He sent us something on Instagram the other day, but then it disappeared. You know, like it was someone's story that had gone. And I said, "Oh, sorry, mate, I missed this. What was it?" And he went, "Oh, mate, I have no idea. I smashed it. Could have been anything." "Oh, no. Oh, wait. It's a portrait of Hitler with not on the Epstein list written underneath it." It's like, brilliant.
Excellent.
Really made me laugh. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Back to this. I'm all over the shop today. Right. So, yes, this is a guy called Henry Morton Stanley, one of Wales's maddest exports, who's got a litany of some questionable attributes to him, plus a great explorer who's done a fucking load of stuff. And he's been recommended that we do a full episode on. I've started researching it, and it's mad. It's hard to decide where you go. So, he was originally from North Wales. Stanley, whose real name is also confusingly John Rowlands, but he was a journalist, and he was lots of different things. But one part of his job, his life, was being a journalist. And he went in 1867 and journeyed to the West to interview Wild Bill Hickok. That same year, he also rode with the US cavalry in their campaigns against the Native Americans and reported on the adventures in this thing called the Weekly Missouri Democrat. So he was kind of just like this Welsh guy traveling along with very famous frontiers people and US cavalry and just like recording what happened. But the most famous cowboy of Welsh descent were the Deadly James gang. So you know Jesse James?
Yeah. Not the Jesse James, surely.
The Jesse James. Yeah, the Jesse James and his brother Frank James were originally Confederate guerrilla fighters during the Civil War. So men who found that they could not give up their violent way of life once war was over, they carried on and they fought for the South. They had questionable views even at the time. And then they went into, they realized they couldn't fit into civil society at all. In folklore, they're like lauded as these Robin Hood style figures. Like
I was going to say that's
stealing
definitely
from the rich,
how like they're portrayed, isn't it? Like sort of the badass outlaw with the heart of gold type thing.
Yeah, but from what I read, all the writers were very keen to point out they weren't that. They were vicious and violent killers who like cut through a swathe of the Midwest, and in the years following the war were absolutely abhorrent. And especially, Jesse James himself was considered the most vicious, and he was born in Clay Country, Missouri, but his whole family came from Pembrokeshire.
All right.
A load of his descendants were Baptist ministers, and his father even helped found the William Jewell College in Liberty, Missouri. So they were like a very reputable family who had very strong Baptist beliefs. But Jesse went a completely different career path. He was finally shot down and killed by his own cousin, Bob Ford, on the 3rd of April in 1882. And that's kind of Jesse James, probably the most famous gunslinger or cowboy outlaw.
He's a Pembroke boy. Yeah. Although when we visited down there recently, we did say they were very aggy, so like it tracks.
Yeah. And now some other little frontier tidbits. You know the huge bank in America, Wells Fargo?
Yeah.
So that's got a really strong Welsh background. William Fargo was a pioneer American expressman who helped found the modern-day financial firm of American Express Company and Wells Fargo with his business partner, Henry Wells. His ancestor, Moses Fargo, left Wales, the family believed to come from Monmouthshire, in 1668 aboard the Armenia, arriving in present-day Connecticut. So the guy who founded Wells Fargo comes directly from Moses Fargo, who was a Monmouthshire lad.
He was a Welsh boy. You're welcome, America, again.
You're welcome, America. Author Lauren Morgan Richards, who wrote Wales in the Old West, this author said, Welsh immigrants and their descendants made important contributions to American expressionism, including Oliver Evans' steam engine and early designs of the automobile. John Plume Jr. of Powys, Wales, was the first nationally known photographer, and David Roberts from Aberystwyth helped found the Rodeo Association of America. So
if you like rodeos,
that's just a few Welsh people.
You're welcome.
You know to think. And if you like associations even more, you know who to thank.
If you're big on associations.
And then finally, this I was thinking of doing a Americans Revolution series with Welsh people because there's so many in there as well. But this is just a final little tidbit. Many who signed the Declaration of Independence we know had Welsh origins. So there's 16 signers of the Declaration, going from Thomas Jefferson, Robert Morris, Francis Lewis, James Smith, Francis Hopkinson, just to name a few. And there's 16 of them. And if the sources is correct, it believed that Welsh ancestry is the second largest ethnic group among the signers, so English being first, with either people having direct links or their family roots directly from Wales, like Jefferson's family are from Eryri in Snowdonia. They are. If all the links are correct, then Wales makes up the second largest ethnic group of founding fathers.
Well. Another one to thank us for, guys. Independence. The entire notion of democracy.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a really wet gob reading all that. I kept slurping, so it took a lot of
hear it, mate. If maybe it was just an imaginary slit, if you were frothing at the mouth at the fucking subject.
Yeah, well, it's always funny doing one when you've not done one for a bit. I always find it a bit difficult to hit the stride, but that made a lot of sense, and it was it gave some facts around Welsh history. We've just been plagued by more technical issues, and now it says Jack's not recording, so I'm going to sign off and say thanks so much for listening. We got a lot of good plans for 2026. We'd love it if you could sign up to the Patreon. That's a really helpful thing for keeping the lights on and paying for the cost of the podcast. And if you could share it with your mates, if you could all share it with one friend, that would mean an awful lot to us. So, Dilson Grandor, I'm sure Jack says goodbye, but we've been plagued throughout this with fucking nightmarish tech issues. Well, love you. Bye. Right.